wake up at noon with a coffee mug. No kids around, it feels kinda snug. The house is mine, the freedom's real. I move through life just how I feel. No packed lunches, I eat when I please. My schedule's open, I set it with ease. Independent and fiercely free. The empty nest, it's where I wanna be. Between meals, I find my fun. Dancing wild when the day's begun. Living loud on my own beat. Every day's an adventure on repeat.
Between meals kind of refers to the fact that, life and eating is culture. So a lot of our culture experience is either in meals or between meals.
And we've been married for a long time. There's that old joke, what is it like being married? Well, you find the person you walk around going with, I don't know, what do you want to eat for dinner? Yeah. I don't know, what do you want to have for dinner? Oh, let's have that. Yeah, let's have that. And that pretty much is a marriage.
What you're doing between meals is like, what are we going to go do next?
Yeah. And we've hit that point in our life where we're between meals. We're figuring out what it is we need to do in the next chapter of our life. Our child is an adult and has moved on. We're, what is it saying? Empty nesters.
Yeah.
So we have time now to maybe make a YouTube channel, have some fun, travel. And so we thought we would maybe bring you along with us or maybe help you out with some questions that you may have about traveling. We're starting a new trip in a couple weeks to Bangkok and to Thailand. And it'll be our fourth time there in 2 years. And so we're going to start talking about our trips. Or is there more you wanted to talk about with between meals?
No, we're...
By the way, I'm Tracy.
Oh, yeah. And I'm Brant.
And we're between meals.
Yeah. So I think one thing that we've been talking about lately, even with friends, is, we had a discussion just the other night with some friends that were over for dinner, where they were asking about the fact that, they had been to Mexico a couple times and around the States, and they were really intrigued by our interest in Southeast Asia. And we discussed, going to Europe and around the United States, and we've been
But a lot of Americans are really very tentative about Asia or Southeast Asia. And, I definitely experienced that with my family in the Midwest. They would be like, why are you going to China? People are starving there, or the bathrooms aren't really that clean, or you're not going to have food that you like. And I have not experienced any of that. In fact, to get on with the conversation, like the bathrooms are everywhere you go are normal bathrooms. If anything, they're better. Like when we went to Japan, our child was smaller and we kind of coached her about the Japanese toilet and how that would be. And she was like, I don't think I want to do that. Well, we get off the plane, we're in the airport there. And by the time we got out of the airport, we're like, that's just a better way to do it.
Yeah. So we did a lot. There's whole other stories about, preparing to go to Japan, and what we do some research when we go. But I think the thing is, obviously, you're going also to really truly experience each culture and place, and it's quite informative. And I think we want to share a little of that at least with you, so that maybe you get out, you have more places on your list of places to go. Or if you're nervous about going to those places, or you're unsure, maybe you're better informed, so you don't feel so unsure and you feel like it's more of a fun adventure.
Yeah. We started traveling when my sister died. Not because of my sister dying, but she always wanted to travel the world, and I wanted to too. But we had just bought a house, and it was right there in 2008 when the property values fell. And we were like, we're not traveling. Oh, we don't have the money for that. Well, then we got the tax assessor's valuation of our house. And I was like, well, we might as well travel, because putting money into our house at this point is not worth it.
Well, it was not
at that time.
Not a good investment at the time.
Yes.
But eventually it would become, but
Yeah.
we said, well, let's do a little traveling just so we can have a little fun.
And he was very fortunate. The firm he worked with, he knew people who had a house in Bali. And so oddly, that's the first place we went.
Yeah, and I want to say thank you to my previous employer. He was
Should we mention
really
it?
great. Wagstaff, yeah, Wagstaff Architects.
The Bali Beach House?
Yeah, Bali Beach House. They own, of course, in Bali, you can't be a full owner of a property if you're a foreigner. So they co-owned it with Ninga and Putu.
Yeah, which are literally are like the first male and first.
That's a whole different story.
Yeah.
That takes a little explanation. But
They recycle names.
the point is that they own property with and
A Balinese couple.
And
Yeah.
lovely.
It was a beautiful
Wonderful.
trip.
I'm still friends with them even
Yeah.
now, and that was a great experience. And that was probably our first experience with Southeast Asia.
Well, so the one, it was going there. I had a lot of relatives going, well, that'll be. So we flew into Hong Kong because you can't fly straight to Bali from where we are in San Francisco. At that time, there were no straight flights.
Mm-hmm.
So we flew to Hong Kong and then transferred to Denpasar to Bali. And then they met us at the airport and drove us to the beach house. And I remember getting into the airport and it was so hot. It was not Florida hot. It was so hot and humid.
Yeah, not not well air conditioned. It just
Yeah.
if they did have air conditioning, it's hard to tell. But
That's one thing as an American I would always recommend is plan for air conditioning when you go to Southeast Asia. Always know.
Well, you mean booking a place?
Yes.
With air conditioning.
And that it consistently works. That's more important than a lot of things, is to know that you can quickly get to a place that has air conditioning so you can cool your core down. Because what I experienced was the air temperature was hot, the water that came out of the tap was the same temperature, the water in the pool was the same temperature, and the water in the ocean was the same temperature. So I could not cool down, and I ended up getting pretty sick. So the big takeaway here is to make sure that you plan around air conditioning if you don't live in a hot, humid place, because you might be surprised about your tolerance level or your intolerance level for heat and humidity. And the only way to really get over it is just to run inside to cool air conditioning, cool your core down, and then you can go back out and enjoy your vacation.
I did okay. I was fine with it. I got hot occasionally, but it wasn't too bad for me. But some people need to be able to have that refuge.
And then the more trips we took, the better I've tolerated it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was just a learning experience. And some of that is because I do plan for it. I make sure that I know, like, malls are always a good place to go. Where is a mall to run in? Or in Asia, a 7-Eleven or a Lawson's.
Yeah.
They're always very cold, and you can run in there and just stand and sweat and not buy anything, and they'll all understand that.
They're okay with it usually. Yeah, especially Westerner. They need to get cooled down.
Yes.
But it's usually you end up buying some water or something, so it's fine.
And water over there is really cheap. The bottled water, it's not like they try to gouge you with it. They understand that everyone needs water. They're a lot more kind about that.
Yeah, kind of respectful.
Yeah, so you're not going to get to Bali or anywhere and go, oh my gosh, it's really hot. This is like a rock concert. That bottle of water is $15.
Yeah.
No, it's affordable.
Yeah, and I think what we'll do is we'll talk about just our overall experience. We can go to each, I would love to talk about Bali or Hong Kong or Japan, but just initially, I think we'll just talk about the fact that just getting out of our shell, getting the motivation to and inspiration to travel in either south, just travel, but also the research and inspiration for finding new places and getting over our fears of being comfortable and happy and enjoying the trip simply because of accommodations or
or food.
or food or whatever. Yeah.
I'm a picky eater. I don't like fish. I've been to Southeast Asia how many times? I also don't like cilantro. And there's always food I can eat and enjoy. I've never been like, gosh, there's nothing here I can eat. I can always find something. Even like the beef, like the Thai cow is different from the Japanese cow. And in my opinion, cows need to see snow and be cold some to be delicious. But it doesn't mean that the beef in Southeast Asia is not good for you or it's inedible. It just will taste a little different.
It's just different.
Because that cow is used to 90 degrees instead of snow.
Yeah. It's cool weather is not something they're aware of.
Yeah.
So we got a chance to go to Bali, and after that, we went to Hong Kong.
And Hong Kong is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, and also Hong Kong of that era.
Yeah.
It's changed since then.
Sadly. And we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. But, we don't plan on going to Hong Kong too much anymore, but we really did enjoy it when we were there. We would love to go back there again. But it's now not at the top of our list for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So I think, but we did love Hong Kong. And
China's lovely.
Yeah.
The Chinese people are lovely.
yeah,
It's a beautiful place with lovely people.
We really did love it.
Yes.
And so, and we went to, on subsequent trips, we went to Shanghai too.
Yes.
And we
We
loved
went
it there.
back to Hong Kong years later.
Admittedly, the higher traffic tourist areas, of course. We didn't have, our Mandarin, we don't know Mandarin. So going
Oh, that's
elsewhere in the
something
mainland.
else we have not talked about is language. Everyone stresses out about language. So pretty much everyone in Southeast Asia speaks English, or they try to. There's no mistaking that we're Americans or that we need English spoken to us. So you don't have to, if you know how to use Google Translate or Apple Translate, you're pretty much good. You really are.
Well, I will say, like in Japan, there were definitely places where they didn't speak English, whereas compared to, let's say, Thailand, a lot more people actually, in major cosmopolitan areas do know, and even come to think of it, Phuket and smaller areas know English more frequently. So it depends on the country. But I will want to say that if you know a few key phrases, like essentially travel language for that particular country, like hello, please, thank you, a few of the courtesy aspects of it.
And you're polite, yes.
The key is being polite. It gets you all the courtesy back in the world. It's we didn't even have really trouble in France, the whole legendary thing about.
I actually speak French, and nobody in France ever wants to speak French with me. I took French into college. I went to France and tried to speak French, and everyone's like, no, let's just do English.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
So you don't get that in Asia. People are excited to speak English with you. And if you do speak Thai or Japanese or whatever, they'll have patience with you. They'll be like, oh, you don't speak it that well. So go ahead and take that 8 minutes to say you want a glass of water.
Yeah.
And blunder it. They're a lot more patient.
Yeah. And even after we were in, a few years later, we were trying to, this is before COVID, and we started taking our daughter traveling with us when she got old enough, and we had the fortune to be able to go to Europe a couple times. I swear, every time we looked for plane tickets to Hawaii, we found plane tickets that actually were cheaper to go to
Europe.
Charles de
Paris?
Gaulle
Yeah.
or Schiphol in Amsterdam. Like it seemed like they're always having a new airline starting up, and so like $300 per person to go. And it's like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. So yeah, we're gonna go to Paris or Amsterdam or somewhere in Europe.
So that's the surprising thing about Southeast Asia too, is that to get over to Europe or Southeast Asia or pretty much any other continent, the tickets usually that's the big thing you're spending on. The hotels and particularly in Southeast Asia, are a lot more affordable.
Yeah.
And they're not like gross places. They're nice places where it's a hotel room. You could do it for the week or two.
Yeah. It's, of course, wherever you go, obviously going to Paris is going to cost more, and we had to save up a bit to go there. But even then, we were, we researched it a bit, and you can find good deals occasionally.
Yeah.
And that's when we took advantage of it.
Yeah.
We didn't have a big budget.
No.
And if you're willing to
go on Christmas Day to Euro Disney,
Yeah.
that is very affordable.
Christmas Day, and picnic in your hotel room because everything's closed.
Yeah.
But it was still fun.
It was.
And oh man, it was cold that year.
Oh my.
It snowed in Paris that year.
Yeah, we were in Euro Disney.
What year was that?
That was like 2010 or something. It was
Yeah.
snowing. And we went to Euro Disney, which is right outside of Paris. And I was so cold. I was wearing every pair of socks that I packed. And there was a woman that was just in shorts in Euro Disney. I was so cold. I got into the ladies' room and I bought some socks, some Mickey Mouse socks, and I was putting them on. And then she walked into the ladies' room and she was like, "It's so hot and balmy here." And I'm like, "What?" And I go, "It's so cold." And she goes, "Where are you from?" And I said, "California." She goes, "Yeah, I'm from Siberia." And we both just laughed.
And you will run into people that
Yes.
have a different climate experience.
Yes.
And it's so try to prepare. But yeah, it's you can always buy clothing typically.
Yeah.
It's not too hard. So I think what we're trying to say is that we were comfortable with going to places in Europe. We got out, it kind of came out of a shell and tried to do that. We went to Italy and Milan and around Italy and Amsterdam. We then again to up in England. But the point being is that then we were saying, okay, we've kind of knocked off a few places that we always wanted to go on, on our list. Where are we going to go next? And then COVID hit and we didn't go anywhere for multiple years.
We stayed here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here.
In California.
In California. And finally, COVID's finally easing up only, a year or two ago. And
Then our daughter became an adult.
Yeah.
And has gone off to college and is doing her life.
Yeah. We'd love to bring her with us, but,
she's doing her thing.
She's doing her thing,
Yeah.
has her own schedule, and has work and school. So we need to be respectful of that.
Yes.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
And, maybe she'll join us sometimes in the future.
Maybe.
So it's just us.
Yes.
And
We're between meals.
yeah, we're between meals. And we'd like to share more tales about and explorations of our ongoing exploration of Southeast Asia, especially, but we'll be going other places too. And I think
So recently, though, we did pick Southeast Asia because we had some bucket list items to cross off. Because one thing, there's a travel bloggers that are actually from San Francisco too that we like following. It's like Finding Gina Marie.
Yeah.
They're really nice
shout
people.
out to them. Yeah.
Yeah, and they talk about health is something that you can't always guarantee
Or predict.
Yeah. And we did have that issue.
Yeah. I got diagnosed with cancer, and I had to get treated for that. And that was a kick in the pants because obviously going through that, I realized, I've got a lot of vacation time stored up because of COVID, but also just not taking it.
Yeah.
And I should probably take a little more vacation time.
And then also when you go through chemo and radiation, they want to chill out for a while before they can analyze what went on.
Yeah.
And that seemed like the perfect time to do some bucket list items.
Yeah, because you don't know how much time you have.
Yeah.
So we said, oh, you know what? Let's plan a little more time off. And this last year, we discussed it and said, okay, what I have to say, I have yet to go to Spain and Portugal and there's other places, southern France. I also like. We haven't been to, but still on our list.
Greece.
But then I have to say, also a big influence on me is Anthony Bourdain. I have to give him credit, and no reservations, and just adored his sense of adventure. But also, we love good food, and without pretense, and his love of Thailand always kind of had Thailand on my list of places to go. I wasn't sure. And we said, you know what? We found some great flights to Thailand. It's like, okay, maybe we don't go to Barcelona this time. We go to Thailand. And we booked it and went. And
we first went to Taiwan.
Yeah.
Taiwan is amazing.
And then to Singapore.
Which is really cool. I always wanted to go to the Marina Bay Sands and swim in that pool. And a hot tip is, if you're there for a week, you book one night, you get to swim in the pool. Yeah. That makes it more affordable. I think it's a nice experience. So I checked that one off. It was fantastic.
Not cheap,
yeah.
But,
we did one night.
Yeah.
So we got to swim in the pool, and it was awesome.
Yeah. It was a great view. And of course, everyone's really
wonderful. It was amazing. It was as amazing as I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's a great experience.
Yeah. 10 out of 10.
And then we're off to Thailand. And we also fit in a side trip to Cambodia to see Angkor Wat, which was on my list.
It was on mine too.
True. Yeah. And I think we have a lot to explore. And our experience in Thailand and Cambodia and Southeast Asia was probably much more fun than we expected. Also,
Bangkok is so cool. It really is a very cool place. So we spent time in Bangkok, and we flew down to Phuket, and we snorkeled. Phuket. I know, I always get that wrong.
Phuket.
Yeah.
We're learning Thai now.
Yeah, I'm still learning. And we snorkeled. I love snorkeling. That is like one of my favorite things now. You do the whole cave canoeing thing. Highly recommend that. They're in Phi Phi Island. And Koh Phi Phi. And the cave snorkeling is really cool.
Yeah.
The cave canoeing, it's not snorkeling, it's cave canoeing.
Right. Well, it's kayak. Sea kayak.
Sea kayak.
And there's tours that you can book.
Yeah.
We book tours with. I've tried booking several different types so that we can kind of experience big groups, small group, and even private. And shout out to 5-Star
Marine in Phuket. That was a really great trip around the Similan Islands. Yeah.
Similan Islands. Yeah, that was.
Yeah. The snorkeling there was amazing, and the people were really nice. Yeah.
And we have love to share more stories about that too.
Yeah.
So this is our experiences in finding that, for example, just the fact that Thailand, the culture and the people are so nice, so polite, everyone's so friendly, of course, but also just safe and comfortable, relax, sabai, laid back.
And there is something like when we were in Phuket that was also surprising that I didn't realize is the hotel we were at said, "Are you going to be going to an elephant sanctuary, or are you going to donate to the elephant sanctuary?" And I was like, "Wait, don't I get a choice in this?" And they're like, "No, elephants
you really should. Yeah.
live for 60 years, and we have all these elephants. And you're from California. We know you're woke, and you're going to go. Elephants shouldn't be in captivity or anything, but." They have all these elephants that are no longer working elephants.
Yeah, they actually passed a law only about 10 years ago, maybe less, that in the logging industry they couldn't use elephants anymore. And what that means is that a lot of elephants were out of work. Well, they have to, per se, work somehow because they need to feed them.
And they live to be 60 years old, and they eat a ton of food a day. So what are you going to do, lady?
A lot of food, yeah.
Yeah.
The bottom line, they need to figure out some way of supporting these
So I've come to
elephants.
The conclusion that if you go to an elephant sanctuary and you feed the elephant, that's an okay thing to do.
Yeah, they don't write them.
Yeah.
Of course, they say that you really shouldn't. But you can go and feed them
and pet them.
And pet them. And they even you can even hose them down and shower them. We didn't do that, but it was a wonderful experience, and we contributed. There was a fee for doing it, and we're more than happy to. So the elephants need to work, and we encourage you to support that if you go over there.
You mean they need to be fed? They don't need to work.
Well,
they're in their retirement now.
Right, but I mean, that was the whole point. They do, to a certain extent, work.
Yeah.
But it's really just so that they're fed, and they have visitors.
Their job now is to be petted and fed by strange people
so
from around the world.
That's the extent of the work, and so it's just to take care of them.
Yes.
And I think what we're really trying to do is just show that if you learn more about traveling in places like Southeast Asia, and of course we love traveling around Europe too, and there's so many places around the world that are fantastic. And I think just getting a feel for what's like and what's there and the experience.
Yeah, like, Rick Steves says.
Yeah.
Travel the world, just go out and see things. He's focused on Europe, which is great. I mean, we love Rick Steves.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And he's done fantastic things,
Yes.
even in his own home in Seattle for women's shelters and like.
Oh, amazing. He's great. Big. We're so appreciative of Rick Steves.
Yes. So we're hopefully going to get there, and we're planning a new trip to Bangkok, back to Bangkok. And
again, so this is 2024, and
for 2025, we're already going back there.
We'll revisit some of the other trips we've taken and discuss how what our experiences were with them, and we'll touch on the ones we're coming up on too.
Yeah, and so we'll talk about all the questions that you may have with like visas. Do you need a visa? How do you do the global entry? How do you do entry? Do you need what kind of credit cards do you need? Do you need credit cards? How
Luggage
does money work?
choices.
Yeah.
A lot of the typical stuff, but
What do you
our
travel
experiences
with? Just how you put things together to make it easy and stressless.
And our particular choices, because like some people choose to carry 60-pound packs, and hiking around Europe and elsewhere, that's not our style. We like to do the carry-on and the one piece of luggage in one bag, and then just all carry on.
Yeah.
So
we've tried the backpack thing, and that's a whole different story. Yeah. And some people like to go first class, which is not exactly us. Like we've done the whole airport. What are those called? The special places? The lounges. The lounges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, we don't find it really critical.
Bang for the buck.
Yeah.
When you realize it's like, you're using this credit card, you're paying interest on the credit card, and you're only getting like 50 cents on the dollar or a dollar for a dollar.
Anyway, I think the key, the really brief of that is lounges are good if you really need to have a place to have a shower, if you are laid over for some reason. But there's solutions to that too, without having to buy ahead. So we'll cover that probably.
Yeah. Yeah. And welcome. It's lovely seeing you. Hi, I'm Tracy again, and this is Brant. And we are between meals.
The house is mine, the freedom's real. I move through life just how I feel. No packed lunches, I eat when I please. My schedule's open, I set it with ease.